Alright, so I'm waiting on Dallas still. Um, he just left here. Um, I didn't record all live like I usually do, but I had a lot going on. Um, a lot of times people don't understand the safety issues that I face. The situation with Molly, she made life hell for a lot of us. There's a lot of witnesses, and well, the cops didn't take it seriously. And other people just assumed that the cops were going to do their jobs, and they didn't. I had to post a lot of stuff on the internet, and you know I hate doing that. Last night I showed some of the messages between me and my sister about people threatening to kill us, threatening to kill her and my niece, and there's a lot on the internet and people don't want it there. I get that. I didn't want people slandering me on the internet. At least I tell the truth. There's also a lot of other people here going through stuff like that, and I do try to get them to speak up and to use their voice, and more importantly, to do so together. I mean, a lot of times, the most screwed up thing for all of us is having a non-supportive partner, or a non-supportive friend, or a non-supportive family. They're not supportive. When they just want you to be happy for no reason, they don't want to hear about any of the trials or tribulations you're having to go through, or any of the harm that you're having to endure. They just want you to pretend to be happy, is what it amounts to. When they ask you how you're doing, you're supposed to recognize that they're asking you to lie to them. Oh, my life is perfect. Here's the pictures of the perfect wife and the perfect kid. Yes, everything is still perfect. And if you don't pretend everything is perfect, then you're being negative. I don't want to be around negative people. Well, it's hard not to be negative when you're stuck in abusive environments. Anyway, Dallas will probably be back soon. I don't know what he's going to be driving. Looks like there's some youngins cruising through the parking lot too. A lot of people have more problems with the youngins than they do with me. Some people are just offended Karens. They're offended that I live here. They're offended that I exist. They want me to move on to somewhere else. Everywhere I go, it's people wanting me to move on. And it's not that there aren't plenty of nice people that talk to me. It's the fact that they don't work together as poor people to try to put a stop to this and get our voices heard. I mean, we're the working class. We're the ones who build your bridges. We're the ones who build your buildings. We're the ones who build your houses and your garages. We're the ones who do your plumbing. We're the ones who put your roof on your house. We're the ones that do the framing. We're the ones that cut your trees down. We're the ones that mow your lawn. We're the ones that dig your ditches. We are the infrastructure of the United States of America, and we're also the ones paying the most in our lives and our labor, wear and tear on our bodies, for bare minimum medical care that people bitch at us for getting. We're horrible people because we can't afford medical insurance on our wages. And then when we get injured, nobody cares. They're just going to keep pushing you to get a job as if you're still physically able to and mentally able to. Head trauma is not a nasty joke. There's nothing funny about it. But those of us with trauma, we've taught all of America to be trolls. You got to come up with some witty thing like on TV before you talk about shooting people. And that's the American way now, and it's disgusting. Meanwhile, I speak about how wrong it is to go running around doing that and considering that help. And then I get accused of threatening to kill people because of it. It's fucking stupid. There's a reason I record everything. And no, I don't record every single situation, and I don't record everything live on YouTube. I've got a lot of stuff that's private, and the reason that it's private is because it's situations that are not anybody's business, first of all. It doesn't include anything with me. And there's personal business that you don't go run around just giving everybody. But that didn't stop the people who had my number from giving my number out to predators on YouTube groups and Facebook groups. Well, Chris was heading to bed. He must have gotten done at the car wash. I'm going to cruise over to the other end of the parking lot and wait for Dallas to show up. Now, a lot of people treat me like I'm some sort of asshole for recording stuff. You know, for that lady up there by the St. Aidan's, or St. whatever the name of the Saint church up town here is, that girl that was getting choked out, she was glad I had my camera and pulled it out. For Jamie there in the Dalles, Oregon, you know what? They haven't done anything about it, but if they ever try to pursue charges, which they should have, the evidence is on my YouTube channel of that woman, half his size, who he claims is his sister. He chases her down and punches her on the back of the head. I get that she doesn't speak right all the time. That's because she's overwhelmed. Who wouldn't be? I mean, I don't know how many times I saw people throw stuff at Jamie that if it would have hit her in the head, could have killed her. Kind of like living with Dallas Richmond, and his ex, Harley, would come over and try starting violence because he wouldn't take her back. Well, I wouldn't take her back either. She's violent. Then a lot of those people, they don't stop to consider how that affects your living environment. Like, a lot of people may have meant well, but you know what? If people invite you into their house and they're both alcoholics and they're both screaming at each other and beating on each other, it's not a safe environment for you. And it's not a safe environment for me. There's a lot of people that, before inviting me to do stuff, should have paid attention to themselves and tried to understand how that is going to affect others. A lot of people that were alcoholics, like Shannon Alvarado, before I went there, I didn't know she was an extreme alcoholic. We'd even had a couple conversations about how horrible alcoholism is and how the majority of murders involve, all right, first of all, over 50% of murderers were drunk when they killed somebody. Over 50% of their victims were drunk. Alcoholism is, well, they say the leading cause of sexual assaults and physical assaults, and the thing is, it's not the leading cause. That motivation is already there. It just makes them more liberal about doing it. They still committed the crime, though. Should we say, oh, well, you know, we got to forgive him for running down his ex-wife because he was drunk at the time? We got to forgive her for stabbing her husband 132 times because she was on meth at the time. We got to forgive that woman for drowning her children in the bathtub because she's mentally ill. Meanwhile, we use that term mentally ill interchangeably for horrible shit. See, like, all right, for example, here in Tillamook, Oregon, one of my predators is a guy named Robert Farnsworth. Now, people say mentally ill for him, as if I'm supposed to feel sorry for him. I do feel sorry for him, but I'm also scared of him. He's got narcissistic rage and, God, what is it called? What's it called when you want, oh yeah, homicidal tendencies. He acts on homicidal thoughts. In 2018, he choked a woman out. He's on video on my channel punching a woman, hitting her repeatedly down by one of the other churches, the First Christian Church, just a few months ago. He was assaulted multiple times that week, and he tried to assault me later on. And that's not okay. I mean, it's not just the community that needs to be kept safe from Farnsworth. It's Farnsworth who needs to be kept safe from the community. Now you get to hear the situation with Jamie. She's not violent with anyone. She's just loud. And she's loud because she's scared, and it's a defense mechanism. She does the same thing I do. But she does it as her first go-to, whereas I use it as a last resort. I don't want to scream and curse and yell at people, but it's the only thing that gets heard. And a lot of times people don't take it seriously until they get a tiny taste of what I'm going through. They want to be angry that I post stuff up on the internet, but you know what? I'm not happy about people posting up lies on the internet. And I get that these people don't want people to know that portion of their lives, but there's a reason that it's recorded. Those are the people that I have to depend on. One lady is angry at me because I spoke about her being an addict. Well, she spoke on my channel about her being an addict. She interrupted me a few times while I was recording to be defensive, like, hey, you know, I'm an addict. Yeah, I get that. If I tell you that I'm afraid of a lot of black people who have harmed me, I'm not saying something personal against you if you're black. If I got a problem with BLM's politics, that doesn't mean I have a problem with every black person. If I got a problem with the Me Too movement's politics, that doesn't mean I hate women. In reality, I have a severe disliking for pretty much everybody, but for good reason. When people threaten to harm me and my friends and family, you tell me just to ignore it. You don't know the extreme BS that I have gone through and that others have gone through. And then for them to blame me when other people targeted them. When other people targeted them, it was magically my fault. No, it was their fault. They put themselves in that situation. They wanted to get involved without asking me what was going on or finding out what was going on. They wanted to talk over me instead of listening to what was happening to me. Instead of looking at evidence or helping me to process it. Get it turned into somebody with some actual support. Instead of this whole you got to do it yourself thing because you're a man, you're a man, you're a man. No, when you're a disabled person, especially a disabled man on the streets, that shit don't fly. That's like telling your friend to go shoot himself in the head. It's non-effective. Also, both 988 and National Suicide Hotline are both in trouble because of a lot of suicides of people after calling them. It's their 15-minute period. After 15 minutes, they don't want to talk to you anymore. Art Sloan typed, my grandson is on the spectrum. I like that you say on the spectrum. A lot of times I say things that are incorrect as far as many other autistic folks go. We're not autistic people. We are people who happen to have autism. But I have a different view on that. We are autistic. That is our defining factor to most of those around us. The problem is that it's used incorrectly. There's a lot of stuff like ABA therapy, and a lot of autistic folks, especially higher functioning, they speak about how violent it is, how harmful it is, how it is abusive. If we can't focus because of all of the background noise that's going on, we can't focus because of all that background noise. Shocking us until we can focus doesn't actually make it so that we're focusing. It makes it so that we're trying to do whatever we can to not get shocked. But we end up getting shocked anyway. Now, the one guy that was talking about the institution he was in as an autistic youth was talking about how that was outlawed for most things back in the 1960s. Hey, Dallas.
Huh?
I said, hey, Dallas, I got a recording going right now. Somebody's message is held for review, so they might have cursed. The lady's name is Art Sloan, and she typed, my grandson is on the spectrum. And then Art Sloan typed, he has retardation because of it. That's the thing, is that people have this assumption that autism is retardation. They don't understand that autistic people are a spectrum. We're a lot different. People just assume that we're retarded and treat us that way. Kind of like somebody with cerebral palsy. They don't have anything wrong with their brain. It's the connective tissue between their brain and the rest of their body. Ends up with a portion of their bodies being atrophied. Alright, I just spilt all my tobacco. I wasn't trying to make it a pain in the butt. Here, let me find my tobacco and roll this cigarette, and I'll be right out. I guess I don't really need to, because my window allows me to speak to you pretty clearly. But your car's running. That makes it a lot easier to hear you. Anyway, with people not understanding my communication difficulties and not understanding that I'm overwhelmed to the point that I literally can't function, people expect me to do stuff I'm not able to do, no matter how many times I try to explain to them I'm not able. They think it's a I don't want to thing, whereas the evidence all shows that I've been trying hard for years. Just people have their assumptions, and when they let their assumptions override the evidence, it sucks.
Right. Did you want to go up there tonight or during the day?
There's a lot of stuff up there. If you wanted to go up there tonight, I'd be down, but it would probably be easier if I was to just get in with you and tell you where to go, but we're definitely not going to be able to fit it in your Volkswagen.
Right.
But also my storage doesn't open up until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Is it right past the rest area?
No, it's up by the ranger station. I figured the best place to do it was way the hell up there where people, where a lot of the addicts aren't going to go that far out. And a lot of the people who are going to be skis aren't going to be able to find it because it's not a well-marked road. But it's also something that's easy to find because of the markers. And also, if there is an emergency, the ranger station is right there and I can walk to it. It's one of the few places where the shoulder is wide enough to walk on without having to worry about somebody careening into you when they go around a corner. Not that I paid any attention to the walking routes.
No, you need to go up Kilts.
Well, I'd need somebody to show that to me. A lot of people have told me that, but with them not showing me, I'm pretty much in the dark. The only part of the... Do what?
I'll show you tomorrow.
All right, that'd definitely work. I'm hoping nobody's raided my camp while I've been gone. Like, I was really surprised that 2 different people had stopped at that camp specifically because they like that specific spot. And both of them are travelers, so And there was also a family that pulled in and saw my car, and thank goodness they were in a big ass Blazer, so they were able to back out of there where I would have had to turn around. That's how I ended up bending my tailpipe so that it was dragging on the ground like that. Hey, do you know anything about fixing a speedometer?
How to?
Yeah.
Like if you got the part or something?
Well, it might not need a part. It might just need cleaning, but I can't reach down into it. I definitely won't have the money for the part until the first, and that probably won't happen because I have to try to I gotta find somebody to help me make the calls to make sure that I get my disability money. Does that make sense? Like there's the stuff that they require, and I need somebody to make the call with me so that they know what's required, so that it's not just me trying to relay it to somebody and being treated like it's bullshit. There's somebody who can verify it. That's one of the reasons why the attorneys told me to record everything. I'm easy to walk over and talk over because I have autism, and they call me mentally ill and try to pretend that I'm schizophrenic or delusional. Like, before Natalie died, lawyers pretty well outlined it for me, everything that I was going to have to go through if I didn't have a friend or family member help. And they were absolutely right about all of it. Of course, I already knew it too. This person, Art Sloan, is type. He will be institutionalized as well. He is very low functioning and extremely violent. That's one of the things about autistic people, that it's assigned to all of us, but it's really only something that low functioning autistic people are, is that level of violence. And most of that comes from being overwhelmed in your environment. A lot of parents of autistic kids, like, they get frustrated and then they yell at their kids, and then their kids can't function, and then they're angry that their kid can't function, and they yell about it every day. So every day their kid can't function. But that also happens with those of us who are high functioning as well. We get treated as if we're retarded, and basically it fucks us for the rest of our life. Does that make sense? Anyway, I don't have the ability, because of my back being fucked up, to actually get into the engine compartment, and I don't have a jack currently that I have access to get my vehicle jacked up. I do need to get a ground unit so that I have access to stuff more often, because if I go up and down those stairs, I might not be able to get out of my car for a day or two, and that's literally how it is. And for people not to help to explain that, and for me to not be able to because I'm overwhelmed because I have to go in alone,
It might help to fucking sleep on an actual bed eventually.
Yeah, and I've been filling out the housing stuff, but that's all they do anything is they have me fill out the housing stuff and go to therapy.
Well, I'm having my mom talk to Sharon. Sharon works at that place.
TCCHC?
Huh?
Or TFCC? Or Helping Hands?
Helping Hands.
Yeah, I was calling them almost every day, but that's the thing, is that it's only so many times you can get a no. Meanwhile, you have a bunch of other stuff running around you got to do, and for me, everything backs up because I literally can't do any of it without assistance, and because I'm intelligent, people kind of ignore that part.
Right.
But I'm witty and funny, and people catch on to that. The stuff with the cops, though, the situation with Molly, a lot of people try to make it just about Molly, but the more important thing there is Officer Lotham, or Lothman, and Officer Sadler, and Officer God, what's the other one's name? The 4 officers that were involved in that altogether, 5 officers who were involved in it altogether.
Oh, yeah.
Because that wasn't the only time that Sadler had to deal with me over that situation. And there have been multiple situations since where I've been trying to turn in Loftman and Sadler, and it ends up being Loftman or Sadler who show up. Usually it's Loftman. He came to the hospital to threaten and harass me. They tried to threaten me with being arrested for calling 911 when that's who I was told to call. The fact that I've recorded them sending me around in circles for the last 7 years, not just here in Tillamook. And then, of course, at the end of it all, they're like, all right, well, now we want you to move somewhere else. And they'll start harassing me and doing legal stuff to try to keep me tied up monetarily. And I can't handle that. All of the monetary issues, the not being able to fix my vehicle is because they treat me like I'm an autistic retard. And like everything I'm saying is a lie. They go around and tell the homeless people that I'm wanted for questioning for killing a woman in Colorado and shit like that, and like any slander they can tell. But I can't get anybody, as far as a friend or family goes, who has the time to do that. But they're also not explaining to any of these services, hey, this stuff is going on, but I don't have the time. You know, I'm not able to take care of a grown-ass man, and he's not able to take care of himself.
You know that cowboy hat that guy just got?
Yeah?
I just threw that away.
Why?
It was broken.
It's
The back was broken on it.
pretty easy to fix.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
I actually have the stuff up at camp to fix it. But my camp, it'll probably take a full pickup truck to get all my stuff. Like, I made 2 loads up there. I took the first load up, and the guy had me take it out of my car, and I came back down and got the second load, and Alexander helped me, which is real nice. And I'm not sure what his last name is. He's from Tennessee.
Heavy set, huh?
I don't know his last name, but he's from Tennessee. He collects bottles and wears a Carhartt. Pretty tall.
Heavy set?
Kinda, but not really. Good worker, though, as far as manual labor goes. He was able to... Alright, so what used to take me an hour to do by myself will take me literally a week to do by myself as far as moving stuff. I work at too slow of a pace for anybody to be willing to pay me. And the other thing is that I have pretty frequent mental breakdowns now. A lot of that comes from there being so many witnesses of these situations that didn't help turn it in, and the cops didn't take it seriously. So even though they're supposed to come talk to y'all and they didn't try, that's really one of the things that's really important to push, is that they didn't even try to find out what the truth was, and that I was victimized for being disabled again. And that's the point with going to TFCC and TCCHC and all those other places too, is that I went to them as mandated reporters, and they have to turn it in immediately to Adult Protective Services, and they need to make sure that my safety and the safety of my evidence is the most important thing, and they haven't done that. They also expect me to go through all this evidence without a place to go through it, and without the education to do a lot of the stuff that they're asking. They're literally asking me to do their jobs. I'm a disabled and at-risk adult. It's not my job to do their jobs. It's their job to do their jobs, which is why I'm sent to them. Right. But they play stupid without someone like you going in with me and saying, hey, this is what happened. Art Sloan typed, is he dumb? No, Art Sloan, he's not dumb. He's very young, and he doesn't have a lot of the same experiences that I do. And he's also a local, so he does get a lot of the stuff that goes along with that. But he's very well aware of how small towns work. This is a small town. It's very similar to Chapel, Nebraska, as far as that goes. When you go to the cops about a bad cop, you have to go talk to their friends. It's stupid. If you try to turn in a bad cop, then he can take you to the hospital and tell them that you're schizophrenic or delusional or on drugs, and they're just going to write it down. When you're supposed to talk to a mandated reporter, instead of them doing what they're supposed to with law enforcement and adult protective services, and they're supposed to do it immediately, they let it drag out for months and months and months. Now, Dallas and a lot of the other witnesses, they're not dumb. They just don't quite understand how important it is for an at risk adult like me. It's not that he's retarded or anything like that, just like the situation with your, um, sorry about that, your grandson. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't get, Art, is that we're not all the same. Not all people who are autistic are low on the spectrum, and that's one of the reasons that so many autistic people who can speak, especially those of us who are high functioning, we speak out about ABA therapy, and we speak out about how a lot of these treatments for autistic people are, well, they're supposed to be a blanket cure, and it doesn't cure any of us, not even the low functioning people. And the fact that those of us who are high functioning are treated as if we're violent animals, it's horrible. And of course, Autism Speaks doesn't speak for us. None of their board members have autism. What they want is for autism to be cured. And for those of us with Asperger's, yeah, we don't want to be cured. We don't want to be cured. We like who we are. The problem is we don't like how we're treated, and how we're treated is based on people's assumptions. Sorry, I wasn't trying to ignore you for some fucking random stranger on my YouTube channel, but you were a random stranger once too.
I what?
Yeah, he was, I met Dallas one of the nights that Molly was beating on my vehicle and fucking threatening all sorts of crazy shit, because he was one of over a dozen witnesses to that situation that night. And him and his friends were typing at me, doing what a lot of you guys do, which is troll me. Art Sloan typed, "We tried to cure him." Yeah, curing us doesn't work. A lot of times it's the noise. If you can hear the vehicles driving by here, that drives me absolutely fucking nuts. Now imagine your grandson can't tell you that drives him absolutely fucking nuts. If you live next to a railroad tracks, you might get lucky and the kid will be able to understand that, hey, that really cool train comes by with that annoying as fuck noise.
Oh, where's your oobleck?
Oh ho. I'll grab it. I was surprised your mom knew the recipe. Ugh. Were you gonna poke it?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is, like I said, when I'm in a state of crisis like this and I'm overwhelmed, I can't function well enough to do the most basic of stuff. So when I explain to people that I'm not able to, and they want to have almost like an argument with me, it's not a matter of disrespect when I tell them I can't do something. And a lot of times when people get angry with me, it's not a thing where I hate them at all. It's not a situation where I want harmful things to happen. It's just a situation where I'm overwhelmed. I love doing that because then it becomes not liquid again and it becomes chunky. Oh yeah, I was gonna let you play with it. Sometimes it needs a little bit stirred up. After it's settled a bit. Alright, it's starting to thicken up a bit. Oh, it's making slurping noises and sucking my finger back down into it. Alright. Here you go, son. Just kidding, you ain't ugly enough to be mine. Anyway, the thing is that all of these places the services that they're supposed to provide, a lot of them are federal services, and they haven't been doing their jobs. They've been passing me on, passing the buck. At this point, I've been going through it so long that there's no way for any one person or any 2 or 3 people to go through it all. It is pretty cool. I saw that and I went, man, it would suck to be hit with a water balloon full of those. All right. Art type keeps beyond being cured, unfortunately. That's one of the things about autism is that people who have low functioning autistic kids, we can kind of understand why they want their families cured, but there is no cure for it. It's the fact that those of us who are high functioning get treated like that sucks so bad. Are you trying to break your finger on my oobleck?
I guess. Looking around.
Isn't that freaky?
Oh, it's so weird.
One of the biggest things is they use stereotypes that, even if they are true, they're only true for low functioning autistic folks, and they use that to pretend like I'm too retarded to know when somebody's abusive.
Would you put slow all the way to the bottom and try to yank it?
Isn't that cool?
Just fucking grabs that motherfucker.
It's a non-Newtonian fluid. Yep. It's made out of cornstarch and water. And if you suck real slow, you can get it up through a straw.
Did you try that?
No. I saw the guy who did it on the YouTube channel and I went, all right, dude, that seems like an awful lot of work for something that probably doesn't taste very good.
It's so weird. You can like pour this shit.
Yeah. Yo. Anyway, I know you weren't able to get a room last time. That's one of the things that's been making it difficult. It's like with Chris, when I'm able to show him something, it's pretty much only when he's at work here. And usually he's busy trying to entertain people. And
Coleslaw.
yeah. I ate that coleslaw just so that I could have that container so I could make my oobleck.
Fingers really soft.
They do. Like a baby's bottom. Oh. I got pants that are matching. Well, I guess eventually it starts falling off and all that. But yeah, the thing is that my disability money is supposed to be for taking care of me as a disabled person. And they've been having me run around in circles to places who are supposed to help me, and all my disability money is wasted doing it. Somebody needs to help explain that I went to all these places as mandated reporters, and none of them would do their jobs.
Do you have more?
Cornstarch and water? Yeah.
You have cornstarch?
I have a lot of it.
You want to see a flamethrower?
Sure. When?
Right Alright, I'm gonna need your cornstarch.
All right. I also have sugar, and I have potassium nitrate, and I have calcium. God, I got all sorts of stuff. I could literally make rockets right now if I wanted to. I just don't because it's dangerous and stupid.
You're gonna see something whack. You have a lighter on it?
Oh. Please don't get me shot or stabbed.
I'm gonna affect myself more than anything.
It's only $1.99 for that over at a grocery outlet.
Light that fucker.
Well, you're not gonna blow up my whole bag, are you?
You're gonna hold this.
Got your address on it. Whoa!
Damn.
Your poor mouth.
I'm not fucking crazy. Chalky as fuck. Flamethrower. Yeah, I need some water.
Oh my god. The flamethrower was great, and his mouth afterwards was just. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was like in your mouth. Whatever it's called, it was like.
Yeah. Oobleck.
It was like.
Non-Newtonian food. Hey, that was pretty cool though. Oh, Jesus. Looks like plastic hair.
Camel car?
Oh? Oh, 2 humps. 4 humps.
I'm gonna do it again. But ball sack. You gotta do that.
What, you making oobleck in your mouth? Or me sucking your camel? Oh, you're gonna try it again?
Try. No, I'm gonna do it. Hold it, right? Yeah.
See, I gotta film it too. I'm just not sure if I'll get in trouble if I do. I think if I put a disclaimer, hold on a second. Dallas Palmer is a dumbass. Do not try this at home.
Are you gonna put it on your YouTube?
Oh, fuck yes. I thought that was a beautiful trick. Plus, I'm going to catch your mouth afterwards.
I'm gonna wait a second. I don't know if it's copy. Oh, you're shooting flames. It just came out of the fucking dispensary. I'm making flamethrowers out of my mouth.
Yeah, I think that guy over there is the guy from.
I feel like this.
All right. That is very cool. I should have you smile for the camera.
You look sick. Yeah, you look sick.
What's it look like from that angle? Yep. And now it's on the top of my car too.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very cool because it just washes right off. One of the things that a lot of people keep telling me is they're not able to do a lot of things, but for me, what I'm supposed to do according to my paperwork is go to my friends or family for that. If they're not able to do that, that's why these services exist. Like Dallas.
Fire truck goes by.
Right?
That's awesome.
But
You
like
missed
the,
it.
the
Right?
situation with
That'd been
Molly,
funny if it would have went right in the back of your video.
or situations with her,
With his lights on.
that would have been cool.
That would have been awesome.
But the situation there, it was the way the police and all these services reacted and interacted with me afterwards that was really the problem. Like they should have spoken with you and the other two people that were there that said they would come forward that night, but fucking Sadler was a dick. I got a ticket from Martinez only 2 days after Martinez came and threatened me over TCCHC because I was explaining they were violating my rights and taking advantage of me and committing Medicare and Medicaid fraud. All of them are.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the people at CARE, they told me that Helping Hands won't take me without a recommendation from them. And they said they'd make some calls, and like every day for a week I went in for them to make calls, either there or the other place that they were sending me to. CARE and TCC, or CARE and TFCC are the first ones, but they also sent me to the Northwest Senior and Disability place, and also to the got what it's called, the DHS office they have here, and you know, literally for 7 months they've been running around in circles about that. Now with the Molly situation, Molly wasn't the major issue with that situation. The major issue is that the police didn't do their jobs, and the people at Fred Meyer's didn't bother to find out what was going on. They just assumed I was the culprit.
Looks cool in slow-mo.
Wow, it looks like a Pokemon.
Hi, Pikachu.
Yeah. I used to have a dog named Chica, and she left Pokemon all over the yard. You didn't want to step in them. Chica, poo!
Shit. Damn.
Yeah, forgive me for being funny. I didn't mean to. Some people's kids. Yeah, I got Dallas driving like an idiot through this very parking lot too on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Nice. Good with that one.
oh yeah. He was still nicer than a lot of them kids are. They drive even worse.
He's good driver. Yeah. Huh.
Well, everybody's a better driver than me. Well, the problem with the ticket is that I can't pay the ticket. I can't pay my insurance. I can't pay none of that.
Huh.
I do have insurance, but that's one of the things about being stuck out here and being overwhelmed is that until someone takes that seriously and tries to help explain it, actually fights for my rights, I basically just get kicked in the dick over and over again. And people say, did you try this? And did you try that? That's what I tried first. Yeah. Caught camel. Anyway, I don't know when would be the best time for you to do it, but I mean, I'm willing to do it tonight, and I'm willing to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow during the day. Sounds good.
Also, it's my speedometer on here not working and me not having the proof of insurance. I do have the insurance. I just don't know how to do the computer stuff on that. Do you know how?
Yeah.
Because all I got to do is get the printout. Because I do have the insurance and have had it. Just don't have the ability to print it out because I suck at electronic stuff. I only am able to do the electronic stuff I do now because people help me to set it up. So, you know, that's one of the things where they say, oh, if you can do this and you can do that and you can do this and that. I'm like, I didn't do any of those things actually. People helped me with that because I couldn't. Yeah, on the bright side, I was able to mug him out of a few bucks tonight. Because we're muggers. I'm trying to remember the name of that show. It's on YouTube. Viva something. They also got the fisherman on it. Morning. Nice day for fishing, eh?
Is that all sleeping stuff there?
No, that's some of those are slightly melted and some of them are slightly crushed. Those are the plastic pallets that drinks come on. The blue ones are primarily Pepsi. But it kind of looks like a sleeping gear from a distance.
It looks like sleeping bags.
Yeah. There might be a garbage bag over there, but I don't think there's a sleeping bag.
My mouth is a little chalky.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cornstarch.
That was a lot of cornstarch. You should see the stuff.
If you ever want to get anyone out of your face, just
yeah, I'll be like, all right, hold on. I need to get you out of my face. I need to light up this piece of paper, so I need to borrow a lighter and a piece of paper. And where is my cornstarch? Hold on a second, before you get violent with me. Let me fill my face with something and hold this out in front of me. All right, I'm ready.
Yeah, because they're gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Oh my goodness. And then that's when you sock them.
Oh no, you don't tell him to fuck your face. I learned that one the hard way. The hard way. Like a cock to the face, I should have seen it coming.
Damn. It's like dropping the liquid stuff.
Right? Exactly what I was saying.
Takes longer to think
That's why I shouldn't be allowed to speak in public. But you also get to see, like, I'm not that fucking angry guy all the time. I try to find happy moments and people to hang out with. Being broke kind of makes you one of those folks that people stay away from. And the thing is, I'm only broke because people didn't help me when I needed it. And the abuse doesn't stop. And the fact that I have to be afraid of all these services now, I've recorded why I have to be afraid of them.
Right.
The situation with Molly, I still have to turn in, but not so much because of the Molly situation, because of Sadler and because of Lothman and because of shit, I got those officers' names. But a lot of people were there for the situation with Molly. Like Dallas wasn't the only one. There's a lot of people. There's a lady here who was here last night who was talking about the situation with Molly from like when they first started doing that stuff. Because a guy named Tom was sleeping in a chair behind my car. He left his stuff out there for like 2 or 3 days. I couldn't go anywhere because it was all set up against my car. And I was like, man, I can't just sit here all the time watching your stuff while you go back with Molly. She was all threatening to kill me and shit. I got a bunch of recordings of that. Tom told me a lot of what was going on and a lot of how crazy she was. But then, like, he wasn't understanding that all I have to live on is my disability money. He gets his GI Bill and he gets disability money. And he wasn't understanding that I was expending all of my money and that I didn't have a way to get my money back. Anyway, that was 6 months ago and I needed somebody to help me with the paperwork stuff. And we finally did last minute. I found somebody to help. But now it's back around again because I have to do it every 6 months. I'm sure they didn't see you.
That's funny.
They're driving pretty slow. Is there a fire up north?
Mm-hmm. Huh? Tuna fish instantly die when they stop swimming. They're hard to breathe so fast they keep their health going. Huh? That's how they breathe. Where they swim fast.
Yeah, water goes past their gills. One of the biggest issues is I gotta make sure that I'm not treated like a retard when I go to turn in crimes, and I have to have a safe place where it's quiet for me to sit down and do that. So that's something that's like super important. Anyway, if there's any of the stuff up in my camp that you think I might be able to sell for some money, as long as it's not important as far as evidence goes, I really do need the money. And although I really shouldn't need it, none of my disability money should have been stolen from me, or forced. I should have never been forced to spend it on what I did. Shrimp. Dragon lures. Like I said, I got a $400 ticket there once. I gotta make sure I at least have the proof of insurance, that way they don't rip me off and shit. Anyway, also, if you're able to tomorrow, I'd like to be able to show you some of the stuff that I needed help turning in, like people threatening my sister and shit.
Oh, yeah.
That is a cute little bait.
Sharkfish. What was his name? Or not Nemo? Sharkfish. Or some type of fish movie.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to spit on you.
It's a sad movie.
Oh, his poor balls.
You ever watch this movie?
The Green Mile? Yeah.
Sad fucking movie.
Well, not for his wife that night. Time for him to spit out some flies. Alright. A lowrider boat.
Alright. Fuck, what are those? 550s or what? What? Fucking 250s, it looks like. Easy. Oh.
Oh.
It's an amazing sound.
All the alcohol ones are exploding immediately.
Literally.
Except for that wine one. I think it made it like 3 stairs down.
Or Corona or whatever it is.
That one made it a lot of the way down, yeah.
Yeah, there. Pop open.
All right. Well, I might text you around 10 o'clock if that's all right. All right. And if you get here sooner than that, super. If not, fuck it. Hopefully it won't kill me, right? Beer bong and keg of tequila and all that. It was no secret, sir. Oh, did you want your camel cock back?
Huh? No, you can have it.
Really?
Yeah.
What flavor is it?
Chocolate. White chocolate.
It's not white chocolate. I know I tasted it already. You know I did. You watched me do it.
It's plastic.
Did I or did I not stick the head of that in my mouth?
You definitely did.
I definitely did.
Balls deep.
I was balls deep. Oh. And I can tell you from experience, it definitely, for surely, 100% does not taste a thing like chocolate. White or otherwise. But it wasn't an entirely unpleasant experience. Oh. Yeah, I'm not so insecure with my manhood that I can be like, oh my God. That would be like just like sticking a real penis in my mouth. It's not a real penis. It's not a real penis, sir. Like those aren't real high-heeled shoes. Those are just pumps. So you got to go back to Garibaldi tonight?
Not tonight. I just had to go drop my mom off here.
Oh, there's a cute little state patrol officer. Doesn't look like he's turning in though. It's usually just the sheriff's department or the police department pull in. But yeah, there's multiple things, you know, since I got here. It wasn't just Molly. There's also that guy that stalked me from Hood River. And did I show you the movie Jamie, or the video Jamie again, where that lady in the Dalles got punched in the back of the head by that guy? Yeah. That's all stuff that I still am not able to turn in because they just call me mentally ill and pretend I made it all up. Now, being able to show people evidence helps, but I still need them to help speak up that the evidence does exist and that it wasn't okay for them to treat me the way they did, and still do. There's also a lot of people in town who are pissed off because I recorded them, and they can kiss my ass. If they help me turn this shit in, I can take that stuff off the internet, and they can forget I exist.
Yeah.
Which sucks for me because I never wanted to record any of them assholes to begin with. I'd rather be hanging out, smoking a fat blunt and telling them, hey, I like your fucking company.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that I deal with is very traumatic and people don't want to hear it or listen to it or look at it. They want to tell me to man up. And that doesn't take away autism. It doesn't take away sensory overload, which is what I'm experiencing. So there's a couple of short videos that I was able to find from people who are actually autistic with Asperger's like me, where they can explain things in like 2 minutes. So it'd be like 3 videos on that, 6 minutes total to fucking learn pretty much every important part of autism and why it is that these people need to stop fucking with me. That was all very vague sounding because I'm afraid you're going to have to leave and go to sleep at some point.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll let you do that. What's your name again?
Tyler.
There's no way, because there's like 3 Tylers now in this town that I talk to. Because Tyler Crabtree, he's on my YouTube. His asshole is on my YouTube channel. I do. I met him because he was yelling at me, telling me to get the fuck out of the library parking lot. And he was going to call the cops, and then he showed me his butthole. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, then there's Tyler Knott.
I don't think I know him.
The show.
There's also the Tyler that works over at the Shiloh Inn.
Last time I went to the Shiloh, they wanted my license plate number, so I brought my whole license plate.
Well, they told me I'm not allowed back on that property, and they didn't say why.
They have a bunch of fiction. They were like remodeling.
Well, it was the people at the what is it, Chevron? They came out and told me.
Oh.
But it's over Tyler. I already know what the situation was. He doesn't like me. It's kind of like one of the managers over there at Fred Meyer's, Caleb, was trying to help me by helping me to do the cops' job. It was supposed to be the cops' job to investigate that, to look at the to look at the cameras from Fred Meyer's and do something about Molly. So I had to try to get Caleb and Jared to help with that, and it's not their jobs. It's literally the cops' jobs. I am an at-risk and disabled adult, and they keep ignoring that. That's why I have a shit ton of paperwork in my car to show people that nobody has time to see. And that's probably the most important thing, is for people to recognize how much of it that there is, and that, you know, really this is something that should have been handled professionally from the start, not me running around having to depend on addicts and people who work all the fucking time. All right, should I let you go now?
Yeah, I'm heading out.
All right. Thank you for letting me bitch at you, Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably make a nice video about you tonight, but I might get angsty at like 2 o'clock in the morning and make it, God damn it, he should have fucking listened to me last year and fucking come forward then with me. But God damn, he's not the only person who did that, and there's a lot of other people involved, and of course it'll probably be screamy and shouty.
And then talk about me flame throwing out of my mouth.
You know what? That was really hot. Get it? Hot. All right, guys. I'm not trying to make fun of Dallas here, but he was totally flaming.
What a bird.
What? Right? Hey, I thought it was great, and you know what? Most of my gay friends wouldn't find you attractive anyway.
Probably not.
You're too little.
Redneck.
What? You know why they call them rednecks, don't you? They look better that way. Anyway, I understand people's reasoning for not wanting to be recorded, and I understand the ones who don't mind being recorded. I also understand people don't want me to call them names, which is fine, because I often get called names. Art Sloan typed something else that I'm not going to show on my channel. I don't think it's okay. Art Sloan wanted to type that his grandson is a dumb cretin that eats his own shit. And I think that that is... that's troll material right there. If you're that mentally disabled, you can't be a cretin. It's an oxymoron. You cannot be dumb and a cretin like that. Just not possible. You should look up the word cretin and find out what it actually means. Of course, we could really confuse you and tell you to look up the word Crete first. I fight for a lot of victims. No victim left behind, not even if they can't speak. Not even if they're just a dumb cretin that eats their own shit. They still deserve humanity from all of us. Now, Art Sloan, I took a screenshot of your words on here, so I can prove they exist. I'm not going to do what I often do, which is hide user on this channel. I think you serve as a prime example in the fact that people will be able to see part of what you're typing. Much better here. It says, Art Sloan typed, a cretin is a person whose mental and physical development has been impaired by a deficiency, much like my grandson. That's close. It's close. It's also derogatory as fuck, which is why I get derogatory as fuck towards a lot of people. I get derogatory as fuck towards BLM. I get bitched at in Chapel, Nebraska. They call me N-word lover, except they don't say N-word. That's because I stuck up for black people starting when I first moved there. Funny thing is, I grew up getting my ass beat for being white by a bunch of black kids, primarily. And I moved to Chapel, Nebraska, and I got the name N-word lover because, well, there were no black people there, but there were a lot of racists who liked to use the N-word, and I'd tell them, I don't like that word. You know why I told them I don't like that word? Because I don't like that word. One of the things about you guys is you say we don't understand social cues. Some low-functioning autistic people don't understand any of your social cues. Some of them only understand a few of them. But for those of us who are high-functioning, we have a better emotional understanding than you do. We're better able to read people than you are. We're able to pull out and pinpoint your motivations. When it comes to protecting people, you know, we see BLM. A lot of the people with BLM, they're afraid for their children getting shot. A lot of black people who had to deal with racist violence growing up are worrying about their kids having to go through that. Now, somebody who's autistic is a lot more likely to be shot by the cops. Somebody who's homeless is a lot more likely to be shot by the cops. The speech that black parents have to give their black children about you don't run from the police when your white friends run. Well, you have to tell that to your autistic friends too. And your autistic children, whether they're black or not. And you need to explain to somebody the day that they become homeless that they need to get plugged into the services right fucking now before they're made a target of the police. Because once they get their claws in, they're never going to let them go. Many of us high-functioning autistic people, we're treated like we're low-functioning. And many of our parents and siblings use that to antagonize us. Just today, I did a thing about a woman wanted to call her son a cretin and physically assault him and then claim that he was some sort of violent monster. You know, I've been around low-functioning autistic people that are very violent. So I'm not going to pretend that they don't exist. I've been around neurotypicals who are very violent. So I'm not going to pretend they don't exist. As far as high-functioning autistic people who are violent, not very fucking likely. Anyway, since Art Sloan, well, he's at least creative in his efforts to communicate on this channel. And he does try to use at least some of his terminology to the best of his ability the way it's supposed to be. I believe that the words that he does have up, they will help to show what it is like for a lot of us. And also how many different people think. His opinions on it are different than a lot of other people's. Some of his opinions are, well, it's not how I would have said it. Of course, if I was to describe Art Sloan, I would probably make sure that I use some derogatory terms or a few slurs. But creatively, of course. The important thing is equality. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes if you show people through an example what it feels like, then they get it. When you explain to somebody that you've been burned over 30% of your body and it's in pain whenever they touch you somewhere that you have been burned, well, if you burn them, and I'm not telling you to do this, if they've never been burnt, but you burn them, they're going to understand finally what burn means firsthand. And then if you touch them on that burn, they're going to understand what that means. And when you say, hey, that's less than 0.001% of your body that you got a tiny burn on that I just touched, and look at your reaction. Now please stop touching me. I have 30% of my body burned. Now, I obviously don't. This is obviously just a scenario. It's not that I literally have burns on my body. It's a matter of sometimes people need to experience a small part of it for themselves to understand. Of course, if I give people a tiny taste of what I have to go through, they flip their fucking wigs like I'm going to chop up their dogs and feed them to their kids. That's cruel. I've seen the crap you feed your kids. I wouldn't want to make a dog eat that crap. When it comes to people feeding their children to animals, that's actually something that is very prevalent in some societies. There's also some societies where if they think that your kid might have Down syndrome, they will literally throw it in a pen full of pigs. Some of y'all might have heard a story about a sow who is raising a human boy. It's in mythology. It's also something that could possibly be real. There was a baby that was thrown into a pig pen in the 1700s. Was raised by the pigs, obviously learned English, but the baby was thrown in there with the expectation of the kids gonna get killed by the pigs. It was gonna get eaten by the pigs, and it didn't get eaten by the pigs. Instead, it suckled with the pigs. And because it was in a village with people who were, well, actually, I think it was in France, not England. I was saying that the kid learned to speak English, but if it was in France, it probably wouldn't have been English at that time. Possibly some parts of northwestern France might have still been under English control, but fuck, where are my goddamn keys? Ah, there they are. Finally found them. Now, when Chris came by earlier today, I knew I was going to get a talking to. And when he said Amanda was coming down today, I knew there might have been some issue there. But I'm going to tell the truth no matter what, and I'm going to post it no matter what when I have the availability to do so. That's not entirely true. If I get help turning it in so that I can make it private, and can get something done about these pedophiles and rapists, child abusers, and of course, people who think it's okay to abuse at-risk adults. The police that took part in this knew that they were breaking the law. The mental health workers that took part in this knew that they were breaking the law. The ones who were involved before Natalie was killed wanted to hide like rats. The ones involved after Natalie was killed didn't bother to find out what was going on. There's a lot of corpses as a result of the stupidity here in the United States, committed by mandated reporters. I say stupid because they know what they're doing is illegal. They know what they're doing is wrong, and they know that by covering up that little mistake, they made very big mistakes that resulted in their misdemeanors becoming felonies. I cannot recommend Nell Boggs for the school board here in Tillamook. Then again, it doesn't matter what I want, does it? My ID says I'm a resident of Tillamook County now. That's not something I wanted. I just wanted a place where I could collect my thoughts and a place safe from the Dual County Sheriff's Department. Reasonably safe from the Dual County Sheriff's Department. And of course, the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department in Colorado, the Larimer County Sheriff's Department, the police departments in all those places except for Chapel, because Chapel is too small to have a police department. There's a lot of these details that just result in predators getting away. The fact is that they're picking people like me and treating me like I'm Art Sloan's grandson. Or one of these schizophrenics out here who's strung out on drugs and barely knows his head from his asshole. You also get to see on my channel how I'm real nice to folks. Because I have to be, and I explain why I have to be. Some of my decisions, there's not just one reason for doing it. Oftentimes there's multiple reasons. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, but not always. If something requires you to be in two different places at the exact same time, then those two things are not true things. Only one of those events happened. You cannot be in Memphis, Tennessee, and be in Portland, Oregon at the exact same moment. It's not possible. Now, there's a lot of things that I do believe in the possibility of because they require you to either prove it or disprove it, like the existence of a God. Nobody can prove the existence of a God or disprove the existence of a God so far. I've read a lot of literature on it, and I've looked at a lot of evidence of it, and for the most part, it's hoopla and bullshit. God bless America, right? Anyway, my religion is science. I don't rule out the possibility of a God. I don't rule out the possibility that there's no God. Also, I'm not a theologian. My education is a lot different than a lot of yours because I'm not interested in the same thing as you. For you guys, while you were pressured to go have sex, I was pressured to not get STDs. Growing up in the system is a completely different world, no doubt. Anyway, I'm going to end this video and try to get some sleep. I'm going to message Dallas at around 10 tomorrow. Just so you know, Art Sloan, I'm fighting for people like your grandson, too. The way that you stated that was pretty harsh and pretty mean. Now, if he's literally eating his own feces, there's a lot more going on there. Eating your own feces is not considered an autistic trait. Now, when somebody is low-functioning autistic, sometimes they have brain damage, and that's different. There are a lot of people who are autistic that do have brain damage. There is an argument going on right now because there's a lot of people who got brain damage from certain things that they said that their children were autistic. And then they say there's no correlation between these things and autism. So it must be something else. But their kids were still diagnosed as autistic over the situations, which is weird to a lot of these parents. Like, if it's not autism, then why was my kid diagnosed with autism immediately after that? Why did the traits that my kid is exhibiting, why are they calling it autism? Well, it's kind of like, why do people take traits of abuse against adults, adult males in specific, when they show those signs that they're being abused? They're treated like they're an abuser or potentially going to be. And that hurts all of us. I've also had people who want to describe to me, well, I can't fucking stand you or your people. I've got a son or a nephew who's real autistic, actual autistic. What they mean is low functioning. A lot of people, when they think of autism, they think of some violent person who the only words that come out of their mouth is, and yeah, some people who are diagnosed with autism are that way, but not all of them. One of the big debates right now is whether or not what we've been calling autism is autism. Whether it should be classified as the same thing, because there are so many highly intelligent autistic people who are being, judged as if they're low functioning. Judged as if they must have the traits of a low functioning autistic person because the word autism is there. It's revolting. Anyway, one of the things is we need to make sure that we get the right diagnoses. We need to make sure that we don't have police officers who have committed felonies being allowed to pretend that an autistic person is schizophrenic or delusional. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I am a ginormous asshole. Art Sloan type, that's hilarious. That's how my grandson talks. It's not hilarious. But I also know, but the reason that I'm able to do a lot of those impressions so well is because I know a lot of people. A lot of people tell me, oh, you do that gay voice so perfectly, or you do that valley voice so perfectly. I've met some folks from the valley. I also do a pretty good Ebonics, but I don't try. Most of the time when I'm doing the Ebonics thing, I'm recognizing that culturally, yes, I grew up with Ebonics in the system, but that's not my culture. It's not ever been a part of my culture. And it's rude and inconsiderate to talk like that. That's basically like whitewashing or blackfacing. It's derogatory and demeaning. I mean, sure, emulation is the surest sign of, God, I don't even remember how that saying goes anymore. It don't matter. Flattery. That's what it is. Flattery. Anyway, I don't think it's hilarious, but I do understand how somebody might think that way because I do make pretty good impressions. When I do an Ebonics impression, I try to make myself sound more like a ignorant white racist from the South than an actual black person. Not every black person I know tries speaking in Ebonics. I know some upper middle class and rich black folks that, well, they might talk like they're gangster. They might talk like they're gangster in Boulder, Colorado. But their black mom and black dad aren't going to allow them to say those things in the house. In the house, well, you're going to speak properly, and their parents make sure they speak properly. You speak out of line or out of place with that Ebonics bullshit, you're going to get smacked across the face by parents like that. They don't care if company's there. Ask me how I know. Anyway, I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to try to get some sleep. Dallas talking to me helped with my anxiety a bit tonight. Chris coming and talking to me earlier was helpful. And I knew I was going to get bitched at. I always get bitched at by people when they realize they're on my YouTube channel or that I talked harshly. But I do it for a reason. And either they make the connection or they don't. Even if they make the connection, that doesn't mean they won't be angry about it or won't say, oh, well, just because people did it to you doesn't mean it's okay to do it to me. At that point, I got to explain to them, well, I'm not doing it to you. The stuff that people are doing to me is a lot friggin' worse. I just gave you a tiny example so that you have some firsthand knowledge of what it is that I'm fucking talking about. Now you know how it feels. When you tell me to just let it go, are you able to just let it go? There was a young lady tonight that if she wants me to take the stuff down off of YouTube, I'm willing to. It just has to go into court. I'm willing to invest the time to make sure that it's made private and that my anger and grr, which actually is present in those videos, well, that can be kept private. I don't do those grr videos because I'm some evil asshole. I do those grr videos because that's what pisses people off and gets them to listen and to think. And most people won't. We're in a world today where most people are taught to get angry and defensive and be offended about every goddamn thing. Well, I'm offended about the right things. When people get offended at me because I told the truth, they should keep in mind that I'm offended that they didn't, and that most people don't. One thing about neurotypicals is they tend to be dishonest, as a general rule. Neurodivergent people tend to be more honest, as a general rule. But it's our honesty that gets us hung. It allows our predators to twist our words into something that they ain't. And everybody knows how to do that. We've just taught girls primarily to be the main benefactor of such stupid activities. It hurts all of us. Every one of us when shit like that happens. Not just men. Not just women, not just autistic people. We all have a share in this rock that we're on. Anyway, I'm glad Dallas showed up tonight. Art Sloan type, good night, Sean. Good night, Art. I wish your grandson had different support. But also, I hope wherever your grandson's at, he's with people who are better able to deal with his issues. I've been around some low-functioning autistic people that I'm scared of just because they have what my older brother calls retard strength. Don't get me wrong, I have that too if I'm scared and in the middle of getting harmed. But it's one thing for it to be directed by somebody like me who is able to communicate issues beforehand, and somebody who's not able to communicate those issues. A lot of the language that we get to hear, a lot of the low-functioning autistic people, some of them don't make any noises at all. Some of them do the na-na-na-na-na-na thing. I try to make that sound more Will Smith-ish than anything else because I don't want you guys to get too offended at it. But yeah, I do make a pretty good impression. I do have enough experience with certain people to make a good impression of them. Good night, y'all, and have a pleasant evening.